Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to be able to join you in honoring Justice Stephen Perren here tonight, a man who has given great gifts to this community, and a man who is blessed, a marvelous intellect connected with a marvelous heart. That would be rare enough, but add to that a great artistic sense, a great love of art, and one of the great all-time singing voices. And I must tell you, I would be very tempted to become envious, except that to see Stephen is to feel one's own better nature, and that may be one of his greatest gifts of all. I met him before I knew anything about the Juvenile Justice Center or his work on the bench or his work for the many other organizations here in town. I met him through music, and he has served as the chair of our artistic committee here at the Ventura Music Festival for several seasons, served with joy, with incredible knowledge, and incredible humility. It is we who are honored by his presence, and it's a wonderful treat to be able to honor you, Stephen, here tonight. Thank you.
If you want a receipt for this popular mystery known to the world as a heavy dragoon, yes. Take all the remarkable people in history, rattle them off to a popular tune. Yes. The pluck of Lord Nelson on board of the Victory, genius of Bismarck devising a plan, the humor of Fielding with sounds contradictory, coolness of Patrick to Japan. The science of Julian, that eminent musical, wit of Macaulay, who wrote of Queen Anne, the pathos of Patty, as rendered by Buccico, style of the Bishop, of Sauter and Man, a dash of Beyonce, divested of quackery, narrative powers of Dickens and Thackeray, Victor Emmanuel, P. Hunting Devereux, Thomas Aquinas, and Dr. Sacheverell, Tubman and Tennyson, Daniel Defoe, Anthony Trollope, and Mystic Reserve. And the heavy dragoon is the resin Young man, despair like a wise go to. Young affair, you must not move. It will not do. I'm sorry for you, you very imperfect ablutioner. This very day from school, yum, will wend her way and homeward come with beat of drum and rum-tum-tum to wed the Lord High Executioner. And the brass will crash and the trumpets bray, and they'll cut a dash on their wedding day. She'll dawdle away as all of her with the Lord High Executioner. And the brass will crash and the trumpets bray, and they'll cut a dash on the wedding day. She'll dawdle away as all of her with the Lord High Executioner.
Steve Perren is one of my colleagues. He's an associate justice on the court, and we work together on a number of cases. Now, Steve's been on the court for about 16 years, but I've known him for 34 years when he was on the Superior Court, and I got to review some of his opinions, some of the cases he decided that would be appealed. And he was really a remarkable jurist, both on the Superior Court and on the Court of Appeal. Now, the reason Steve and I knew each other pretty well before he became on this court is because we performed together. He's a marvelous singer, as you all know, and I play the piano. Steve brings a sense of humanity to everything he does. His singing, for example. He brings a certain spirit and energy to the song, because that's who Steve is. He's so deeply involved in the community, you can't go to lunch with him. When I go to lunch with him, everybody's stopping him on the street. We sit down at a table, and I'm picking at my salad while people are coming over to talk to him and say hello, or he's table hopping. I think it's wonderful that he's receiving this award. The community is recognizing someone who is truly a Renaissance man. It's a cliche that's used so often, but with Steve, he's the real thing.
I came to know Judge Perren, as we referred to him back then, in the 1990s. He was our presiding juvenile court judge, and I was a deputy probation officer working with youthful offenders. At the time, our juvenile hall was very old. It was built in the 1940s. It was an antiquated facility and it was falling apart. Justice Perren led a team that traveled to Sacramento to do an in-depth presentation in front of the state's Board of Corrections. Justice Perren gave a passionate and charismatic, and some refer to it as a legendary presentation in front of the board. He convinced them, and as a result, Ventura County was awarded over $40 million in grant funding to build our juvenile justice complex. The Board of Supervisors approved that the complex be named after Justice Perren. So it's the Judge Stephen Z. Perren, County of Ventura, Juvenile Justice Complex. The facility sits as a pathway to hope and redemption for many youth entering the facility and those struggling with mental health issues, chemical dependency, gang entrenchment, and delinquency. So on behalf of the men and women of the probation agency, all of the professionals that work in juvenile justice here in Ventura County, I want to thank Justice Perren for his work and his tireless advocacy for kids here in Ventura County. He sits on the Mount Rushmore of juvenile justice professionals who have established our local juvenile justice system as one of the best in the state. Thank you, Justice Perren, and congratulations.
Steve is one of my oldest friends. Our friendship goes all the way back to law school. And in the ensuing years, let me tell you some of the things I've learned about Steve. Steve is a torrent of energy. My nickname for him is the human hummingbird. He couples this energy with a passion for community service, music, and theater. Steve is enraptured by music, and so the award he's being received tonight is especially fitting. And it's an honor, Steve, you've richly earned. And we're so happy to be here tonight with you because we know how much this means to you.
When music festival participants think of a songbird, I suspect they're imagining a nightingale. But I know Steve Perren as a fellow judge, and around the courthouse, he's known as the human hummingbird because his wings are beating so fast you can't even see them move. It's this extraordinary level of energy that allowed him to do the difficult work of a trial judge, and between cases and over the lunch hour, he would rewrite the entire criminal jury instructions or oversee the creation of a new juvenile justice system. His spare time he devoted to the arts. He loves music, particularly singing, and I know that's what's kept him energized and young all these years. He truly deserves this award, and I suspect he will thank you for it in song. I doubt you could stop him. With respect and affection, congratulations from Mindela to the PIV.
When we first met Steve, he was an exuberant, curly-headed guy with a big smile and a can-do attitude. Quite frankly, that's what describes him today.
That can-do attitude has led Steve to tenaciously and tirelessly serve on many boards benefiting our community. He has also awed us with his theatrical and musical performances many, many times over the years. I remember particularly standing at the Walt Disney Concert Hall in Los Angeles, wildly applauding, along with the rest of the audience, Steve's solo performance. Frankly, we were blown away. We as a community are richly blessed by Steve.
So, Linda, both you and I know Steve, but I think you have a very special relationship with him.
I do. He's my next door neighbor. I found out he could sing after living by him for 10 years and not knowing. And so we have spent many, many hours together singing and going to concerts. And yeah, he's a very special person in my life. What about you?
Well, I met him performing too. We do a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan together, as a matter of fact. And so in keeping with our musical theme, I took the liberty of writing a little parody to the Modern Major General. This is for you, Steve. Steve is a man of varied notes above and yes, below the staff. He loves to talk and jabber, bend your ear for at least a paragraph. He's played a lot of characters, he's even worn a dress or two. And when asked, he'll elaborate on his past deeds of daring do. He loves the law and sits atop a bench from whence he judges men. He often can be found rehearsing songs and scales within his den. In fact, his friends have paid to see him sing and act and dance about. With volume range performances, he has been known to knock us out. He's well acquainted with wrote the songs of tenor, bass, and baritone. He shows a penchant for the roles requiring testosterone. For manner magisterial, both lyrical and generous, we're here tonight to tell you, Steve, how much you mean to all of us. Love you.